everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with another of the iconic bass players of our time that needs no introduction, but I will anyway, Bunny Brunel.
All right. Hello, everybody.
So, I'm so excited to talk to you, Bunny. Again, I've heard so much of your music over the years, but I do want to go back to the very beginning. How did you get started in music and on bass particularly?
Well, that's kind of a funny story, so that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I was at the college, I graduated from a hotel college in Nice. They have l'École Hôtelière.
Mm-hmm.
And, I studied everything about the hotels, from cleaning the room to the accounting to the whatever. So I know everything about hotels. And I liked the cooking side more than anything else because it's kind of artistic, got the cooking. So when I end up working in some very famous hotel restaurants in the south of France, like the Palm Beach in Cannes, the Hôtel du Cap, Saint-Jean-Cap-Ferrat, really very big places. And I still cook for some friends sometimes. They love it to come, oh, yeah, you got to go over Bunny, the food, woo! And that's something very easy for me. People say, wow, you say, oh, yeah. But anyway, meanwhile, when I was at the college, they had a band and they were looking for a guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? The year before, I found a headless acoustic guitar that I brought to a cabinet maker, a friend of mine. He replaced the headstock, and I started strumming because I studied piano first when I was little.
Okay.
I was playing piano. So I picked up the guitar and I started, figuring out the chords on the guitar. And then the year after, they were looking for, a guitar player to strum chords in a band, in a college band. You say, all right. So I went over there and I started playing the guitar. You can see there on my site, there is some pictures with me looking cool with dark glasses and a guitar, One day they told me, well, one of the intern there wants to play the bass. So here is some money. You go to that address and rent an acoustic bass. Okay. So I went to the place, rented a bass and came back to rehearsal with the bass. He said, okay, I got the bass. Mm-hmm. They told me, well, he's not gonna play. So why don't you play the bass? Okay. That's how I became a bass player.
Wow.
An acoustic bass, I started playing. And then I was listening to Oscar Peterson and trying to listen, because everything I was playing was basically by ear. I can read the music, but I can hear very well. So with the copy the bass, like, oh yeah, that's what they were. Okay. I used to play like all by ear, So what it is, it's just I keep practicing the instrument, and somebody lended me an electric bass. Mm-hmm. So I played the electric bass, I played the electric bass. So I kind of started both of them at the same time. So when I was gigging, playing the bass, acoustic bass, all the electric bass and all that, then I bought myself a Fender, I still have it, Precision, for at the time it was like $50 or something. We're talking about way back then, okay? Yeah. 1965 or something like that. I'm definitely not a spring chicken anymore. So anyway, so I was playing and then one day I decided, I better go to the conservatory to learn how to play that bass correctly, how to hold it, whatever is the electric bass. If you play the guitar, you can figure it out, but acoustic bass is something else. So I went to take the course. It was a 3 years course.
Wow.
Okay. So the first month, of course, I was in the first year. Then the second month, they moved me to the second year. And then on the third month, they moved me to the third year.
Wow.
Because, it was easy. Oh, yeah, I can do that, so it was easy. So I did basically all the 3 years in 1 year. And it's funny because I was supposed to study playing some classical pieces and things like that. And I was supposed to go for the big exam. And I told them, I don't need anybody to tell me if I know how to play or not. I know if I didn't even want to go.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I didn't care. It's funny. Then I realized that in life, people, they like the papers. They like the thing that somebody gave you. And it's unfortunate because you have a lot of teacher. I'm not talking about especially music that are not good teacher, but they have the paper.
Yeah.
It's just like it's funny. But anyway, so that's how it started. Then I played the acoustic bass, and I was playing. I put a band together. It was a band playing James Brown and Otis Redding and things like that. 2 horns, organ, guitar, drums, and myself. And I asked a friend of mine a friend of mine was a very great pianist, and his wife was an amazing singer from New York. Her name is Shirley Bunny Foy. Okay, so they were singing. I mean, really like. And I went to talk to her. I say, you're young. You just go and ask. So, would you like to join the band? And we're doing some James Brown and Otis Redding. And she said, yes. Yeah. So I had a fantastic singer doing the thing. And we're playing in a club at the time in the south of France called La Janica, big club, really big. And they had 2 floors with different music and all that. And I end up working on the top floor playing some jazz with a pride bass. And then I would go down playing funk on the other one, electric bass, And I keep doing that until a friend of mine, and I was playing with another band in the south of France there is one of the most famous drummer in France is called André Ceccarelli, Dede Ceccarelli. That's a family of drummer, like the Wackermans. You have Chad Wackerman, John Wackerman, Brooks Wackerman. It's the same thing with the Ceccarelli. Wow. And I used to play with the father. And we played casinos and things like that in Monte Carlo and all that. And one day I got a call from Dede Ceccarelli who asked me, there is a famous singer named Georges Moustaki, very famous. I actually toured all around the world with that guy. And he told me, they want a pride bass player. Why don't you go? So I had a gig. Yeah, I went to Paris. And I moved to Paris and I had a gig with that famous singer. And meanwhile, I would do some recording session. He's just a friend of mine, very good bass player. He used to be the number 1 call in Paris for the session, Tony Bonfils. And I moved in his house and all, and he would send me, when he couldn't do the session, he would send me to play the sessions and all that. So I ended up being on the middle, doing thousands of recordings that I don't know for whom. In France, you get in the studio, you arrive, with your bass, you sign the paper to get paid. Then you go in a room, you sit down, you plug your bass in a direct box, put the headphones on, they give you a chart, and they used to record rhythm section separate from the band, but the rhythm section was drums and bass. And they had a guy with acoustic guitar strumming chords to make it a little bit musical, which is totally stupid. I hear the thing in order to play, but they write everything. They even write the drum part. Wow. They write the drum parts, and he's like, okay, whatever. So you sit down and you just read, just read whatever it is. Yeah. And then you leave and you wait for the check. So I did a lot of sessions like that. I have no idea from whom it was. Some of people I know because I knew the people, and a bunch of them I have no idea who this for. So I keep doing that, and then I got tired of the thing like that, and I started playing. I put a band. I was playing with some musicians of that band, Moustaki. Moustaki. We started playing together in a very famous club called the Bilboquet. It just closed a year ago. That was the place. That was the best place, the Bilboquet. And there, I hope it's not too long of a story. So I met different Brazilian musicians and things like that. And we had like an influx of Brazilian musicians in Paris because of the political system in Brazil. They used to come to
Sure.
Paris, So I end up playing with those Brazilian musicians. So I play Brazilian music the way the Brazilian, I know how to play it. Something. I know how to play that music because I have the swing they have. I know exactly where it is. And then I met a fantastic singer-pianist called Tania Maria.
Okay.
Brazilian, she like sings, improvise, singing, whistling what she's playing on the piano. She's incredible. She's just incredible. And she asked me to play with her, so I went on tour with her in Europe, and all that. And then I was playing at the Ronnie Scott Club in London with Tania Maria, and on the drums it was Andre Ceccarelli. Dede Ceccarelli was on drums and all that. And it was funny because every night there was a guy, over there with a glass of cognac. With a glass of cognac saying, "Oh man, there's only Stanley Clarke, Jaco, Jeff Berlin, and you." Huh. Okay, thank you. you say, no, serious. So then we were there for a week, so we were there every night. And then suddenly on Saturday night he arrives, say, "Hi, well, I'm sorry, tomorrow I'm not going to be able to come." Oh, okay. I'm going to go see Chick Corea. I said, "Oh, that's the better idea." He goes, "Chick Corea, man." Say, no, but I'll tell him to come listen to you.
Okay.
So I tap him on the shoulder and say, "Oh, yeah, bring the whole band." I know, he was really. I didn't know who was Patrick Moraz. I didn't know, because I didn't really follow the Yes and the Moody Blues and all, so I didn't quite know that it was And he brought Chick Corea that was actually interested because he was looking for a bass player to replace Stanley Clarke. They left to do his school days band and all that, and he wanted somebody to fill the shoes. And then he heard me. That's the one I need. And we left on tour. He was touring in Europe and all that. And I noted that he told Tania Maria she's going to have a hard time keeping her bass player. That's what he said. So noted that. I'm mentioning that people don't know that sometimes you got to make an extra step to make things happening. Because he didn't hire me there at all. He went left on tour. So I look at the calendar. He was playing in Paris, and I called some friend of mine from press to get me backstage. So then I went over there, backstage, and then suddenly, he comes in, and I say, "Hi, Chick." So he looks at me. "I'm the bass player." So in London. Oh, he called his tour manager. "Take his number." And in August, he called me to come to record Secret Agent and all that.
Nice.
So I'm really mentioning that because sometimes you have to do the extra step. The fact that I went and talked to him, I got to give my number.
Sure.
He ended up calling me to come, and in August I came to Los Angeles to record Secret Agent. That was, by the way, nominated for Grammy that album. And I never came back. Then we did a tap step and all that. And meanwhile, because Chick was doing duet with Herbie Hancock. So I ended up playing with Tony Williams. I toured with Tony Williams. So that was a perfect introduction. So, and this funny story on how I, actually met Tony Williams. It was a concert, a special concert in Santa Monica Civic Auditorium with Chick Corea, Al Jarreau, Tony Williams, and Stanley Clarke. And Stanley had that big hit on the radio, where he played the piccolo bass.
Yeah.
He called me, he said, hey man, can you come and play the bass? I'm going to play the piccolo. I want to play that. So I said, of course. So I went over there. They were rehearsing. I was in a rehearsal thing like that, and sitting. my amplifier next to the drums and all that. In fact, if you look at the Joy of Flying, there is pictures of Tony Williams, and you can see my cabinet, Bunny. That's the day they took the picture for his album.
There you go.
And anyway, so we start, they start playing, and suddenly Chicory say, Stanley, let's play your tune. Let's have Bunny coming. So I stood up, I went to my amplifier, and it's like Tony was looking at us, thinking, who the hell is that? So,
yeah.
And, we stopped playing the tune, and Tony was just dropping bombs all over the place. And thanks to Dede Ciccarelli, I know when they do things like that, good drummers, I know where they are. I can hear it. They have something similar. Mm-hmm. And that was the same for me. I knew exactly where he was. I nailed the thing down and all that. So at the end of the tune, he gets up. He says, "Hi, my name is Tony. What's your name?"
Yeah.
Find good bass players.
Yeah.
That's how I got the gig with Tony Williams.
There you go.
So, and the thing kept going, and I played with a lot of people, a lot of great drummers. The list is endless. So, and I keep doing the same thing. And then I did album. I have about 15 albums, by the way. I kept recording albums. The first one was called Touch, with Daniel Goyon, the French keyboard player.
Okay.
Did that together. Then the second album was called Ivanhoe. It was named after Stanley Clarke's son. I composed that song when he was just born because his name is actually Christopher Ivanhoe Clarke.
Huh.
I call the album Ivanhoe because of that particular song that I play. And there, had like a Herbie playing with Chicory on one tune, a title called Song for Wayne, and great players. I played with so many great players, and I end up touring with a bunch of them. And some people don't know, but when I was before all that, I was playing in Monte Carlo and actually played with Dizzy Gillespie.
Wow.
So people looking at me say, "Oh yeah, I know, I'm a little old." Very nice guy. He was really adorable. It was very funny and all that. So the people like that play with a bunch of jazz players that would come for the Nice Jazz Festival, and then they would go into clubs and they want to play. So I would play with those guys. So I had a good training from the start. And then keep recording albums. My latest solo album is called Invent Your Future. Okay, that I won, and the one that I did with Stanley Clarke last year called Baseball.
Okay.
Baseball was made with Stanley Clarke. We play on all the tunes, basically, and we invited great bass players to solo and play bass or something. You have Billy Sheehan, you have Victor Wooten, you have Steve Bailey, and you have somebody that I always mention. His name is Marc Berthaud. Because when Patrick Moraz said, "Oh, there's only Stanley, Jaco, Jeff Berlin, and you," but there is that guy, Marc Berthaud. I tried to send him people, but he refused to speak English. That was another amazing. This is an amazing bass player. If you can listen to that guy is really, really good. And for me, that's the original people. Before now, you have like thousands. We show the way people that they can actually play something else on the bass. So now you have like amazing players. That French guy like Adrien Ferraud.
Yes.
Like the guy plays like twice as fast as we do. Beautiful solos and we opened up the bag, so now you have all those people. You have some great play. You have a Brian Bromberg, that's a killer player. I really like him on your Pride bass, especially. You have a lot of great players. I mean, the list, that's the two that come up to mind just right now. But there's more. There's so many great players. So that came out after that. But it's cool. So I kept going and doing albums, and that album did very well. Baseball, and the name was thought by George Duke. Before he died, he was with he told one day Stanley Clarke, "Why don't you make an album and call it Baseball?" So it's actually George Duke's idea, the name. And then I have, as I say, Marc Berthaud plays on that album. I had Tony Bonfils playing a solo, Dominique Bertram, and Fifi Chaeb play. You know, I put some French people because I made a song, Nice, the front beach Nice is called the Bay of the Angels.
Oh.
So I made a composition called the Bay of the Angels, and I put those people playing from Nice, all the bass player from Nice. You know, all those guys beside Marc Berthaud are from Nice. Even the horn players, trombone, Alex Perdigon, and the trumpet player, they're all from the city of Nice. I took them because that was the Bay of the Angels, so yes. I did like that. And that's the latest one, and the renown, because, you know, I'm working on baseball too.
Oh. Yeah,
and by the way, there's a song on the first one with a great bass player from Cameroon. His name is Armand Sabaleko.
Huh.
He's working on couple of songs also on the new one. He's got one title on the old one, and he's going to have a couple of them. So great bass player from Cameroon. It's funny, they have all those bass players from Cameroon.
I know, right?
Etienne Mbappé, they have a Richard Bona, I believe. I don't know why from there, you know, the bass player. That's what it is. And if you have any question now after everything I said, I don't.
Okay, Bunny, so now we know where you got started and how you got started, but how did you develop such a unique sound and technique?
Well, basically, as I mentioned, I started with like Oscar Peterson and all that, and then listening to different people. And my idea was, because I play piano and all that, when I was listening to bass solos, they sounding like a mystery to me. Boom, 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 boom. You know, it was like, and I wanted to play. I wanted to sound like Herbie Hancock. I wanted to phrase like John Coltrane and things like that. So I started practicing playing like that. I wanted just improvising and thing like. And one day, I went to a friend of mine, another bass player that a long time ago it's passed away. So, and one day he said, "Oh, listen to that." So, and he put a record. We had vinyl at the time only. And he put a bass solo. And it was Bill Evans at the Montreux Jazz Festival with Eddie Gomez. Never heard anything about it. And he plays the thing, and I heard that guy was like, oh, man. He showed me that I was going in the right direction. So that was my idol. Oh, man. Eddie Gomez. Incredible. For me, it's still the best. I was just listening this morning to Someday My Prince Will Come. What he plays the bass line and the solo, it's ridiculous. Nobody plays that well. So he's got his own style. I never really copied him. I cannot play like him. But at least it showed me that was the way to go. You know, I was right. You can actually phrase and play stuff beside the bass line, and I started practicing and up and down and things like that. After that, you had people like Stanley Clarke came out, you know, with Return to Forever and all that, playing I love the bass line. Stanley was playing great solo, but very inventive bass lines and all that. Was the sound and all that. I loved it. It was great. And then one day, my pianist, the one who plays on the first album, Touch, Daniel Goyon, came to my house, knocked on the door, and said, "Oh, you got to listen to that. There's a guy who plays like you." It was Jaco's album.
Oh, wow.
And so I listened to the thing, and the beautiful, the sound, and what really got me with Jaco was the melodies. Because I was already playing like a Ballad of Hell, but that guy just he's just like, oh my God, I gotta play some melodies. And because of that, I became more melodic, because I heard him playing melodies, you know. And when it was Chick Corea, he would always telling me, "Oh yeah, play some melodies, play some melodies." So that became my forte, thanks to Jaco and Chick Corea. I just like, oh, all right. And I loved it. That's what I like. But as I said, he told me, he said, "There's a guy who plays like you," because I was playing like a Ballad of Hell on the bass already. So I didn't copy Jaco. I don't play like him at all. In fact, I cannot play like he plays. Maybe, you know, I recorded on my album, Invent Your Future. I actually finally recorded Continuum. because I think this is the most beautiful bass. It makes the bass sing. The guy came out with that composition. It was like, wow. So I finally recorded that for Jaco to thank him for the melodies. That's the idea. And basically that's why I play the way I play. So trying to play Coltrane phrasing and all that. If you listen to the way I solo, I got some Coltrane phrases and thing going on. I cannot play like Coltrane, but the idea is with the intervals and things like that. And that's what I developed with the melody. It's funny because I was playing with the Cab at the Bottom Line in New York. Unfortunately, that club closed, and I had Ray Gomez coming, and Ray Gomez was there listening, and then I come down and say, hey Ray, what do you think of Tony? And it's funny what he said. I'm not going to use the word he used, but he said, tell him to talk to the woman before he kisses her. And because he was just like, playing like immediately, and Tony loved it. So just imagine the word he used.
Yes, yes.
The girl, he said something else, and before you kiss her, no, he's used another term.
Yes, yes.
And by the way, Ray Gomez, amazing guitar player, is a champion of coming out with phrases. He never repeats himself twice. He has the best phrases. Anyway, Tony loved it, and since then, he's talking to the lady before kissing her. So he got the idea of that melody. You have to start playing a melody. But I always did that. I always start with the solo with a nice melody and things. You build it up like that. So it's very important. So thanks to all those beautiful people.
And I think that is quite fitting when we look at the genre within jazz, and you play what's considered fusion, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, this is correct.
And that is a conglomerate blend of so many of the things that have both come before you and that you add to it as you gather this momentum with your musicality, it being a new thing altogether, but it still has some of the flavor from the past and some of the details from other players and things. And that's why it is a fusion.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, because as I told you, I was playing straight ahead, even played with Milt Jackson, and people like that. I was listening to straight ahead jazz, and that's always what I liked. That's what my mother listened to. She was at home, ironing, listening to the station. They have a jazz program. She listened to that. So I used to listen to the jazz, the improvisation. So that's how it goes. You feed people with good music, and that helps the brain develop right. That's why I'm not really happy at all with the rap. As Stevie Wonder put it, it says, if there's no melody, you cannot call it music. I agree with him. I'm sorry. It's some rhythm, but it's not music. I don't think this is for brain development. I don't think rap is a good a good thing. It's not a good medicine. I actually played with the. You can see that on YouTube. I actually played with Stevie Wonder. It was a tribute. Anyway, so when one of the tune was he played, with some guy singing, and that was fun. The guy is very nice, very nice, and he loves jazz. He really loves jazz. The way he played the chord. I mean, you listen to the way he plays chords on his songs. You have those too high, and I can touch. I mean, this is not like a 1/5 chord moving. No, he's really like harmonizing. It's genius. Just I always loved the guy. I mean, and on top of it, I think that guy can sing any song, and it makes it sound good. It doesn't matter the song with that voice, So no, I love that one. He's about my age. He's born in 1950, I believe. The same age as me. We're still young and beautiful. What can I say? Basically, with everything I did, I really want to thank Tania Maria, Patrick Moraz, and Chick Corea that gave me the opportunity to come to America and to have the career I had. Thank you.
It's a good point to segue. Also, you're a founding member of CAB.
That's right. That's right. That's the thing is one day I had Mark Varney, who was a Tone Center record at the time. They sold it to another company. He sold all his repertoire. And he called me, oh, would you like to make an album with Tony McAlpine and Dennis Chambers? And I said, oh, great, oh, that'll be fantastic. And I came out with the name Cab because Chambers, I figure, C, McAlpine A, and Brunel B, Cab. And I didn't know that was McAlpine. It's all attached. But I left it like that, Cab sounded good. A good way of transportation for new music. And that's we started. And the first one is actually Tony McAlpine, who plays the keyboards. If you hear him play the classical piano, you want to shoot him. It's so freaking good.
Oh, wow.
He won competition on the classical pianist. Anyway, and then to play live, we used the amazing Brian Auger, and then we had a Patrice Rushen. So we did on different albums and all that. And that's what it was. So we were nominated on the second album. We were nominated for Grammy, Best Contemporary Jazz. So
nice.
We did pretty good.
Recalling correctly, because I was looking on your website, you guys are still performing pretty regularly with Cab?
Yes. Yeah, what it is just, first, we had to change the drummer because Dennis Chambers was on the road over with Santana. Mm-hmm. So we actually hired Virgil Donati. Okay. So there's few albums where it's Virgil Donati playing. So the three first album, which is Cab, Cab 2, and Cab 4, that was the idea of the prankster Tony McAlpine, not to put 3. So that's Dennis Chambers. But after that, it's all the other albums, it's Virgil Donati playing. And the things, they all get into, it's just Tony McAlpine went back to his metal roots and he's touring with his own band playing metal. And Virgil Donati, that became so famous, the amazing drummer, got his own band touring and all that. So I had to change players, So on the drums, I often use Chad Wackerman. And the guitar, I have Alex Maracek or Julian Coriel. And there's a new guitar player who's great. He did a Cab gig. He learned all the stuff. His name is Alex Seal. Okay, very good player. You see, that's one of incredible. And he learned all the stuff. He was first gig. He was killing. The guy was a very, very good guitar player. So that's what happened. On the keyboards, I use Mitch Foreman or Dennis Ham, usually. So it moves depending who's available. That's what happened.
Gotcha. Well, and it's also very interesting because as I listen to your music, and I'm going to because I keep looking at your bass, you've been very instrumental at also the design of your instruments. And I know currently you're with ESP, but this is not a new thing. You've been working with designing instruments for some time now.
Yes. Basically, I used to play there's a lot of videos. You see me playing with that old P bass, which I added a neck pickup first, and that was not the sound I was looking for. So I put a bridge pickup and say, oh, that's what I'm looking for. So you can see that the P bass got some Bartolini pickup on it that I added. Mm-hmm. And then I cut off that because it's up there, so I couldn't go, Yeah. So I cut it off. And a friend of mine, he's actually a drummer, Gary Fott, his name is, painted it for me black because it was the original color. Yeah. And because I just do it with a razor, he fixed it and painted it in black. And if you see old pictures or old videos, that's the bass I was playing. But I was not happy because it didn't go high enough. It stopped at E flat, and the balance on Fender are terrible. The reason for that is the man that helped Fender designing. I have to talk to Carol Kay, knows the name of the guy. Was a studio player that played all string instrument. That was a heavy set guy. He used to put the bass on his knee. He never hung it around his neck to find out that the neck would go down.
That it dives, yeah.
That's what you see a lot of players, they're playing like that. They're holding, forehand, holding the bass because the bass is falling. And me, I was playing more vertical, and I used with a foot on the volume pedal. I was able to do that. Mm-hmm. But still, hurt your back and all that. So I decided to design an instrument. And there was a company that was doing a synthesizer, like for bass synthesizer. And I designed a bass for them. They're called K-Muse. That was the company. So I designed the bass. It was a piccolo bass and all that, with some light pickups and something that they invented and all that. Just after that, they got bought by Gibson. They never really kept going. Gibson at the time bought so many companies and didn't do anything. But a little bit after that, you had a Rick Turner.
Yes.
Rick Turner is the original designer of the alembic bass, by the way. Called me one day and said, Gibson wants to get into the bass business. Can you come and help, designing? I said, oh, cool. So it was 1986 at the time, and so I did the Bunny Brunel Gibson. Did few of them. There is one of my famous student called Kyle Eastwood. That's the son of Clint Eastwood. That's my student. For a long time playing the upright bass, and he has about 2 or 3 of them. If you see him play live, you can see the Gibson Bunny Brunel, and it looks like this one, same kind of a
headstock.
So this is actually the copy of the Gibson. The body is exactly the same copy.
Gotcha.
So after doing Gibson, they were not selling the instrument, and Henry Juskevich was the owner at the time. And I have to tell people, it's from the family that owns all the black boxes on every plane in the world. So we're talking about, he decided to buy a Gibson and running, but it's not really a musician or whatever. Mm-hmm. So one day I went to see him and I said, hey, you're not really, after 5 years, you're not really making my bass. Why don't you sign that? You don't owe me anything, I don't owe you anything, and we'll call it, And I'm glad I did that because I didn't lose my name. Steinberger lost his name. Tobias lost his name. I didn't lose my name. I got out with a thing. And then I was approached by Carvin at the time. So I went with Carvin. And Carvin did a good job with the electronic and the sound and the balance, But they didn't copy my body. The thing, they make kind of a banana-looking horn, so I never liked it. And after 20 years, I got tired of, why don't you do it the way, I didn't like the headstock either. But the bass sounded perfect balance and, good instrument. They're actually very good. Carvin does a killer job. Made in America, by the way, in San Diego over there. They have the factory, they don't do a good job. Anyway, I was asked by Jeff Moore of ESP if I wanted to, so I switched with them. I gave them couple of Gibson, they copied it exactly. The advantage is just the headstock. The headstock, I have 5 online. It's Borisov. Borisov Engineering is a hip shot. Made the same thing. They're the same size, but he made the key smaller. We can put 5 in line, so I love it because I used to have one on the other side. So I like it better. The Gibson had one on the other side. I like it better all in line for the 5-string. Mm-hmm. It looks better. So it's like I like it. But they copied the bass exactly, everything perfectly. So I really love it. It's my favorite bass because of that. And the electronic and pickups are Aguilar.
It's fretless, is it not? Because I see markers, but I believe it is.
Yes, it's this one is fretless.
Okay.
But I do have the fretted version.
Okay.
Okay. So this one is beautiful blue and all that.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm glad you explained the position and the way you're holding the instrument. I had a chance to see one of your signature Bunny Brunel carving, and I'd noticed where the instrument plug is.
Yeah.
And when you're sitting, it kind of gets in the way unless you're holding it up like this.
If I'm sitting, The bass is like that.
Yeah.
If I'm standing, the bass is in the same position.
Exactly.
It's like you don't want to practice like that
I know.
then play like that. Why would you do that? You want to practice the way you're going to play.
Exactly.
So the idea is to play this with a neck up.
Mm-hmm.
It's because when you like that, you're creating an angle here.
Mm-hmm.
See, you right there. It's like that.
Yeah.
When I'm playing, I have no angle. No angle. You see and same thing down here.
Yeah.
And I don't have to do this because I don't have to hold the bass. I like to put the strap in the front because it tilts the bass slightly this way.
And lets you see better.
You see better. You don't have to move. Yeah. I can play on the bass without holding it. I just put my finger anywhere. As I said, if you play piano, you don't have to hold it.
Very nice.
So, and you see that's the balance and that because I used to practice for hours. And then you get carpal tunnel syndrome because of having the hands like this and like that. So no, I released the whole thing. That's why I play this way.
I gotcha. Yeah. Now you also have an upright with them too, right?
Yes, I did design an electric upright bass. It's called the Bunny Brunel electric upright bass. It's my own company and my own design. My idea was to create an instrument that is exactly the same scale of an upright bass with the same strings and all that. And I'm actually using the same pickup that I have on my upright bass, which was designed that with the Rick Turner again.
Okay.
So it's the same system on this thing. So it's basically the same sound. The difference is no feedback. If you play with a loud drummer, you just raise the level. Nice. And it sounds perfect. You pick up a bow, play with the bow. It sounds, as according to a Stanley clock, it sounds even better than the real one with the bow. That's what he said.
Nice.
I designed it like that. And I'm the first one, by the way, who did it on the stand. The instrument is standing on the stand. You don't have to hold it. People used to try to imitate the upright bass, and they put a pick going on the floor, and then they put something right there to hold, to make it like a. I said, no, you don't need that. Put it on the stand, and like that, you don't have to hold it, and it stays. It's easier to play the bow and all that. It doesn't move. The first time I did that instrument, it was made by Valley Heart Guitar, which actually was Samick. The company Samick did it. It was shown at the NAMM show. So everybody was checking out the and then suddenly everybody put their electric upright bass on the stand.
Yes.
So that's my invention that I cannot claim,
There you
Same thing with the long horn on the bass. I was the first one with the long horn. Now they're all doing it because they realize for the balance, you got to do, the horn has to go to the octave of the bass. If you don't do that, it's going to fall. Mm-hmm. So that's my idea. That you cannot patent that, but I'm glad I helped people making their design better.
Well, absolutely. And the instrument, we had the opportunity to go see one of the original electric basses that Paul Tootmark had made in Seattle. And it was very much smaller. It was the bass violin, if you will. And it was designed for his wife because she played, they had a little band. Uh-huh. And so it's very interesting to see the instrument evolve. Uh-huh. And, the choices, there's many choices in shape, but also wood, the electronics as they get better and improve, and of course, all the solid state things that sometimes they incorporate on active systems. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Even you mentioned Victor. I had the opportunity to watch Victor play. He has a bass that's been modified for MIDI processor. Uh-huh. And it's part of the evolution of the instrument. I know it's not for everybody, but it is very interesting to see things, and it helps everything get better. It helps everybody, really.
Yeah, it does. Like, for instance, I do have one of those. This is made. It's like a piccolo bass, and I have the thing to go to the MIDI. Bigger keyboards with that thing, and I actually did a whole tour like that. You can probably find it on YouTube with the Kazumi Watanabe. And you can see that we're playing a trio with John Wackerman on drums. Mm-hmm. He's got the thumb up, and he's got a keyboard because he used to be a vibe player.
Wow.
Triggering mallets and things like that. And Kazumi also had a guitar synthesizer he could play. So you always hear a keyboard player and there's no keyboard player. People get totally confused. They have no idea who's playing what.
There you go.
So anyway, that's interesting to see, but it's fun. And I did a lot of composition. If you listen to my album, Momentum, a lot of them I'm playing the keyboard with that instrument. Yeah.
Now, I should ask as well, because I know the instruments are an important part of your sound, but other elements, your labella string player?
Yeah, that's right. I've been with the greatest strings in the world, and I'm going to tell people why I'm saying that. Labella, I used to use for the sound, the sustain and the thing, I had a roto sound. Mm-hmm. The good sound of roto sound was for 3 hours. So basically, I would change the strings. I would do the sound check and change the strings for the show.
Oh.
Yeah, to get the sound with the sustain and all that. And then one day, Rick Laird was representing at the NAMM show, La Bella. And recognized and said, hey, man, you should try these strings. And all I said, oh, okay. And they sent me some strings. I told them the gauges that needed. And I put them on, and they don't die. They last for, they sound, you know, I mean, you can play on those for a month. They'll still sound perfect. And there is no other strings who does that last that long. I know the reason, but I'm not going to tell any. I don't want to tell people because I ask questions. I know why. And anyway, because they all use the same metal.
Sure.
But the way they're making it, they have a trick right there. So anyway, if somebody gave me a few millions, maybe I'll tell them. I don't know. So I'll tell them to go over there, give them the million, and
buy the proprietary secret.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what I tell people. That's the difference. You don't have to change your strings every 5 minutes. You know, they last forever. They're really made, balanced perfectly, and all that. So you cannot get better. Some people they want them pink, you know, whatever. So no, but they're actually doing with the black nylon as well.
Okay.
Some people they want the black nylon. By the way, Ron Carter's playing his acoustic bass are labella with black nylon.
Oh.
That's what he uses. They sound great. I mean, they sound great. He doesn't really. I never tried. I don't think with the bow that would work. He doesn't use the bow at all, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. But just to tell you the quality, Stanley used to play also labella. I don't know if he still uses all the great players. I remember guitar player Vivian Campbell. I met him at the NAMM show at the labellas. Mm-hmm. He was all the great players. If you look at the great players, they're using labellas. And that's the reason you put a set on it. You can do a couple of gigs. It'll sound perfect. You have to change, you know, whatever.
And from the instrument out, do you have a choice in amplification? Because that's another thing that affects your sound.
I was with the Yamaha at the beginning, and I actually still have some poster. The Yamaha BB3000. At the beginning, when they met me, I was playing in Tokyo at Live Under the Sky with Chicory, and they came with the bass very politely. Can you try that, please? And the name was a broad bass at the beginning that they had. So all right, I'll try it. So then I told them, no, you got to change this. You cannot put the pickup like that. I stopped telling them what to do. And they used my name, Bunny Brunel, BB, and I still have posters, the Bunny Brunel playing Yamaha. Yeah. So I was using their basses and the amplifiers as well. And that's before 86, it's way before that, early 80s or something. And it was all Yamaha. And then I switched and I went with Carvin. Then I was using Carvin amplifier. I really like the Carvin amplifiers. I still love the Carvin amplifier. Unfortunately, something happened in the family. So they separate the company and then they end up closing the amplifier side of it. It's too bad because I still have a couple of them, you know, so anyway, but I need something if I play somewhere to be able to So Jeff Moore of ESP told me, oh, Eden, they need some endorsees. So, and Eden is a good amplifier. I used them before.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of disappeared, and so I say, all right, I'll join Eden. So I'm playing some Eden right now. Unfortunately, there is not too much representation of it. They've been bought by Marshall, and it's too bad because it's good equipment, but you got to put it out and all that. So, and that's what I'm using right now. So.
Well, the creator from Eden, David Nordshaw, has his own different line. It's DNA amplification now.
Oh, DNA have to,
Yes, and so he's a very brilliant designer, and and so but it was the transition. I agree. I do find that ever since he left,
the thing fell off the
thing
horse.
kind of fell off, and a lot of people really loved the old Eden. I have a World Traveler. And they're great. But getting away from that, let's talk about the future. What plans do you have? What's next?
As I mentioned, basically, I started working on Baseball 2. The thing hard with this album, the first one took 5 years. Reason is Mr. Stanley Clarke, that is always on tour.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to grab Stanley, so. We had him playing on one tune so far, a couple of tunes so far, and all that. But we're working on it, So it's a good album. He likes the music better. Most of it is my compositions. It's working on it. We'll see when it comes out. It comes out. That's what it is. And I have on one song. I want Stanley to play with him as well as Federico Malaman. You know who that is?
I do.
A great bass player, very funny. I love the guy, he's so funny. And I have him playing on one track, and I have Carl Eastwood playing on another track. So I still invite people and try to make a different bass player. And I want to put some women as well. Women have to be presented right now. You have some hot players.
Oh yeah.
So that you gotta have somebody playing a solo or something like that. So we'll see, little by little.
Gotcha. And if people want to know what you're up to, is the best place to look bunnybrunel.com?
Yeah, bunnybrunel.com, Facebook. I have two Facebook, Bunny Brunel and Bunny Brunel 2.
Gotcha.
So usually when you have announcement, I'll put it there for sure. So at least. It's funny because people don't really go to... it's not easy to make changes on the site. Mm-hmm. So it's faster to post stuff. Mm-hmm. So, bunnybrunel.com, there's always things with the album. People want to purchase albums. They're all in there. All the books, because I wrote many books for Mel Bay, for Hal Leonard, instructional book that I worked many years with it. There's some videos to play fretless video. I did a slapping video. Mm-hmm. I'm not the king of the slapping, but I know exactly the basic things to teach people that they can see how it works. Yeah. And then they can take it from there and do something else with it. That's what it is, helping people, always teaching. I actually give lessons. If somebody's in LA, I give lessons at the famous rehearsal studio, SIR, in Hollywood on Sunset, on Saturdays usually. So if somebody wants to, they can message me on whatever, Facebook message, if they like to come for a lesson. And just because they have to tell me before, because I have to schedule people.
Certainly. Well, and I know if they go on Facebook, they'll also get a chance to see some of the culinary creations that you have. I think I saw some.
That's my wife. Put these things. She's making other women jealous. That's what it is.
It's the chef, the creation that the chef has come up with.
All those women. Damn, I want a bunny. I want a. Yeah, as I told you, for me, that's the easy. I can cook water, right? I'm a French, gourmet cook. So,
there you go.
So I wouldn't do the job. It's just like deadly. That job is deadly. It never stops. But I definitely know cook because it's something that in America, a lot of people, they start doing, food. Oh, I'm going to do like a vegan dish. They have no idea of the rules, what goes with what. So they're mixing up a bunch of stuff. No. There is rules. There's things that you don't want to put. It's like it's not going to make it better. It's going to make it worse.
Yeah.
So you got to balance the thing the right way. So I do that. My ex-wife is a vegan. So I always made some vegan stuff. Like, for instance, if you heard about the ratatouille.
Yes.
Ratatouille is especially from Nice. Ratatouille niçoise. It's funny because Nice, they have all those things that you find everywhere. You have a salad niçoise. That's from Nice. Ratatouille niçoise. That's from Nice. You have tapenade. That's from Nice. People don't know that. So, and you have pissaladière. This is all vegan. This is vegan, but it tastes fantastic. It's just we've got a lot of preparation on the south of France that were originally vegan.
Yes.
Yeah. When you know, then you can kind of mix up stuff and make it taste good. So, and I found out that if you make a bechamel sauce, for instance. We're not talking about bass right here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Bechamel sauce, it's almost like flour with milk and all that. It actually tastes better with soy milk for some reason. Yeah, I made it. I like the taste of the bechamel was great with soy milk.
Interesting.
So you can change a couple of things to make it right, and sometimes it's better, like this one. I was amazed. I tried that and I said, oh, wow, it tastes better. I like it better. So,
yeah.
You see, I kind of know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking time to talk to us about your journey, your music, your instruments, your educational contributions, and people. If you want to find out more, again, go to Bunny's Facebook, go to his webpage, and I'm very much looking forward to Baseball 2 and hearing more music from you. Thank you so much, Bunny. You've seen him here, Bunny Brunel, on Bass Musician Magazine.